When I woke up in that hospital bed, the first thing I felt wasn't relief. It was loss. A deep, aching kind of loss that hit me harder than the pain in my chest. My body might have been back, but my soul was still reaching for where I had just been. I tried to explain it to the people around me. I told them I had been somewhere more beautiful than anything I had ever seen. Somewhere filled with a love so pure that leaving it felt like being torn away from home. I told them I wished I could have stayed there. They'd give me polite smiles or confused glances, thinking maybe the medication was talking, but I knew. I knew I had been home, and I had been pulled away from it. The truth is, there are no words for what I experienced, especially for the love. Human language doesn't stretch that far. The best I can say is that it wasn't just something I felt, it was something I became part of. Everything there is about love, in its purest, most complete form, it doesn't judge, it doesn't keep score. It simply surrounds you until you realize you are made of it. When I returned, I wasn't the same man. I didn't think like everyone else anymore. Things that had seemed important before just weren't. And I knew, deep down, that I had been given a job to do, to tell my story, no matter how strange it might sound. My name is John Kendrick. I grew up in a small town near Missouri. My father owned a car repair shop. He made his living repairing cars, and from the time I was old enough to hold a wrench, my brother and I worked with him. We learned early how to change a tire, patch a flat, check an engine. By the time I was 13, I could drive a truck. By 16, I was helping him a lot in the shop. We didn't have the kind of teenage years where you hung out at the mall or wasted time. We were men before we were boys. After high school, I wanted to keep working there, but I was still so young. So by the time I was 19, I joined the Army. After 10 years in, I left with an honorable discharge. When I came home, I went back to working with my dad, but this time instead of trucks, I found myself behind the controls of heavy equipment. The first time I pushed dirt with a bulldozer, I felt it. That connection between machine and man, the raw power under my hands. It was addictive. My life became work. 14-hour days. Sometimes 3 weeks straight without a break. I didn't mind. I was built for it. One of those jobs took me to Ozark. We were building a wind farm, massive towers with blades so long they looked unreal when you stood beneath them. That Friday morning started like any other. I climbed into my bulldozer, the diesel rumbling beneath me, the smell of dirt and grease in the air. We were supposed to finish early. Around noon, I stopped just long enough to eat a cheese sandwich I'd packed. 10 minutes later, I was back in the seat when it happened. It started as a pressure in my neck. Not sharp pain, just a strange, unsettling tightness. I told myself it would pass, but it didn't. In fact, it grew stronger. I climbed down from the dozer, boots hitting the packed dirt, and as I did, the pressure slid into my chest. I walked over to the water truck driver and asked him to take me to the medic. The ride there felt longer than it was. Every breath seemed to tighten my chest more. By the time we pulled up to the office, I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. Inside, I told the medic, "I need some Tums." She raised an eyebrow, but I explained. A year earlier, I'd had something similar happen in Kansas. I'd been on the phone with my girlfriend when it felt like a horse kicked me in the chest. She knew I wasn't the type to complain, so when I told her my chest hurt, she told me to call 911 immediately. The hospital back then said it was heartburn, so this time I figured it was the same thing. The medic gave me aspirin and Tums, but as I sat there, my left arm started to ache. A deep, throbbing pain. That's when I knew this wasn't just heartburn, this was serious. A wave of fatigue rolled over me, heavier than anything I'd felt before. My eyelids wanted to close. I fought it, but the pull was too strong. The last thought I remember having was, I hope someone catches me before I hit the floor. Then the world went black. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in that office anymore. I was surrounded by stars, not just above me, but all around. My first thought was that I must be dreaming. I remembered falling out of the chair, so maybe my brain was creating some strange scene while I was unconscious. But then, I realized how real it felt. The coldness of the space, the way the stars shimmered as if they were alive. Then I saw it, a vast cavern-like space. The walls stretched up high, curving inward. But where the floor should have been, there was only open sky, as if I were looking down into the night, except from above it. Suspended in that nothingness was a path. Square stone blocks laid side by side, stretching out in two directions. To my right, the path disappeared into the distance. To my left, it led to a tall arched doorway set into the wall, the kind you'd see in a medieval castle. And standing in that doorway was someone. They were translucent, their form shifting slightly like heat rising off pavement. I could see through them, but I could still make out their shape. And they were looking straight at me. I should have been afraid, but I wasn't. In fact, I felt curious. I thought to myself, I want to see who that is. The instant I had the thought, I shot forward like a bullet. The movement was so fast that the edges of the path blurred. I stopped in front of the wall, looking down. The figure was there, floating along the path, not once looking up at me. I watched as they drifted out of sight. Then, everything shifted again. The world went completely black, darker than any darkness I'd ever known. In that blackness, a light appeared, like someone searching with a flashlight. The beam swept across the darkness until it landed on me. It was so bright I instinctively tried to raise my hands to shield my eyes, even though I didn't feel like I had hands. The light pulled me in. Inside, the brilliance softened, wrapping around me like a warm blanket. I could see a soft glow in every direction. Ahead of me, the light began to shift into a mist. The mist cleared slowly, and beyond it was a perfect, endless blue sky. And that's when it happened. It felt like someone, had reached out and taken hold of me. Not physically, but with a force I can only describe as pure love. It wasn't just an emotion, it was power. It was creation itself. It flowed into me like electricity, but instead of burning, it filled me with warmth, with peace, with a knowing that I was exactly where I belonged. As I was wrapped in that presence, words appeared before me. First, forgiveness, then love, and finally, peace. Each one wasn't just a word. It was a feeling that sank deep into every part of me. I began moving forward again, deeper into the light. With every moment, I felt pieces of John Kendrick fade away. My mind was crystal clear. No worries, no fear, only a sense of limitless possibility. I knew, without a doubt, that I could do anything here. The light carried me down toward a forest of pine trees. I could see every single needle on every branch, more detailed than anything I'd ever seen on Earth. Below the trees, the ground dropped away into a cliff like the rocky coasts of California. And down below, there it was, a garden unlike anything I could have imagined. The flowers were enormous, some as big as dinner tables. They glowed with color, each petal alive with light. I could feel them noticing me, though they had no eyes. Their awareness washed over me like a greeting. I realized I could focus on any flower I wanted, and instantly it would fill my vision in perfect detail. As I floated slowly to the right, I soaked in the love radiating from them. It wasn't just beauty, it was connection. I was part of them, and they were part of me. Then the scene shifted again. The garden faded, replaced by an open, endless blue sky. 4 massive lights appeared ahead, arranged in a vertical line. They grew larger as they approached. Around me, tiny lights began popping into existence, swirling and dancing in every direction. And somehow I knew. These small lights were my family, souls I had known in life who had already crossed over. They danced around me joyfully, without words but full of recognition. As the large lights drew closer, the smaller ones began shooting toward the top light. Merging into it, slowly, a form began to appear. The outline of a man, growing more complete with every light that joined him. When he was fully formed, I could feel the power radiating from him. He moved effortlessly through the sky, gliding up, down, and across, never once breaking eye contact with me. There was no fear, only awe. Then, in an instant, he was gone, shooting away so fast that streaks of light trailed behind him until they, too, faded into nothing. I opened my eyes to see the medic kneeling over me, pressing hard on my chest. "Hey!" I croaked, my voice rough. Her eyes widened, and she said, "John, your heart stopped. You died." "How long was I gone?" I asked. 4 or 5 minutes, she said. 4 or 5 minutes? It felt like an eternity or no time at all. I had been to the stars, the cavern, the garden, and the sky. I had felt the kind of love that could remake a soul, and it had all happened in minutes. I looked down to see my shirt cut open, pad still on my chest, and a defibrillator machine humming beside me. The reality hit hard. My arm ached, sweat poured down my face, and I could feel every beat of my heart like a drum. Everyone was watching from the walls, their faces pale. I heard someone mention a helicopter, and despite everything, I managed to joke, "I'll be paying for that for the rest of my life." It got a few smiles, which made me feel better. The ambulance arrived. We were 80 miles from the nearest major hospital. As soon as they hooked me up, exhaustion pulled me under again. When the ambulance doors closed, it felt like the outside world vanished. The noise of the job site, the voices of my coworkers, and the Kansas wind, gone. In their place was the hum of the engine, the low rumble of the road beneath us, and the steady mechanical beeping from the monitor tracking my heartbeat. I could feel every bump we hit through the thin mattress of the stretcher. The two paramedics sat near my head. I could sense their eyes on me, scanning me constantly for any change, even when they were speaking quietly to each other. I caught fragments of their words, rhythm still unstable, watch his pressure, but I didn't focus on them. My attention was on the strange heaviness in my chest. It wasn't exactly pain, but a deep, pulling weight, like something inside me was shifting in a way it wasn't supposed to. Oddly enough, I wasn't scared. That first time I'd gone out of my body, it had done something to me. It had taken the fear of death right out of me, stripped it clean. I'd seen too much to be afraid now. The thought of dying didn't feel like an ending anymore, it felt like going home. But then, without warning, I felt it. That same strange separation I'd felt before. My awareness began to pull away from my body like I was sliding backward through water. The sound of the ambulance faded, replaced by a kind of stillness that felt both impossible and completely natural. And then, I was standing. It took me a moment to process what I was looking at. There I was, lying on the stretcher. My eyes were closed, my face pale, and my head turned slightly to one side. Tubes and wires ran from my chest and arms to machines surrounding me. And yet here I was, standing next to me, perfectly awake and aware. The strangest part, I felt absolutely no attachment to that body. No panic, no urge to jump back in. It looked like me, but it wasn't me. It was an empty shell, the vehicle I'd been driving all these years. And in that moment, I realized just how temporary it all really is. Before I could dwell on it, the scene around me shifted. I was no longer in the ambulance. I was somewhere else entirely, standing before the most extraordinary circle of flowers I had ever seen. It wasn't just beautiful. It was perfection in its purest form. The circle was huge, stretching out so far that I couldn't see where it began or ended. Each section was filled with flowers of a different color, each type distinct. Vibrant reds, soft yellows, deep purples, glowing whites, all arranged together, yet perfectly separate. The moment I saw it, the meaning was clear, like someone whispering truth directly into my mind. The different flowers represented humanity. Each group was like a race, a culture, a people, different, yes, but all part of the same circle. No one outside it. No one was left out. It struck me hard. Here on Earth, we find endless reasons to divide ourselves. Skin color, language, religion, and politics. We fight over differences that, in this higher place, are nothing more than unique petals on the same flower. In that circle, there was no judgment, only unity. The realization sank deep into me. We aren't separate, we never were. And then the scene changed again. I was in space, surrounded by an infinite expanse of stars. In front of me floated a planet so blue, so alive with light, that it almost pulsed with energy. The color wasn't like the blue of the sky back home or the blue of an ocean. This was richer, deeper, as if every shade of blue that could exist had been woven together into one living, breathing sphere. It was mesmerizing. I couldn't look away. Then came flashes, quick, almost too quick to grasp. Entire landscapes flickered before my eyes, some familiar, some utterly alien. I saw towering mountains capped with crystal-like peaks, oceans that shimmered with colors beyond Earth's palette, and skies lit by suns I'd never seen. It was like someone was turning the pages of an endless book, giving me glimpses of worlds beyond worlds. I wanted to slow it down, to study each scene, but they moved too fast. Even so, I felt the importance of it, as if I was being reminded that creation is far bigger, far richer than anything I could comprehend while alive. And then, just as suddenly as I'd left, I was back. I opened my eyes to the ceiling of the ambulance. Both paramedics were leaning in close, their eyes wide with relief. One of them said, "We had to shock you." His voice carried a mix of adrenaline and gratitude. Before I could reply, I heard it, the faint but growing thump of helicopter blades. The sound grew louder and sharper until it was all I could hear. Minutes later, the back door swung open. Cold air rushed in, hitting my face like a wave. They wheeled me out and up to the waiting helicopter. The inside was cramped, every inch filled with equipment. The paramedic beside me buckled me in tight. The noise of the rotors was deafening, the vibration constant. Through the small window, I could see Kansas laid out below, roads cutting through fields, tiny farmhouses scattered like dots. But my mind wasn't on the scenery. I kept thinking about the flowers, the planet, the way my body had felt like nothing more than a shell. We landed on the hospital roof, and immediately a team of doctors and nurses swarmed in. They wheeled me down bright hallways, their voices clipped and urgent. "Possible blockage. Get him prepped. Let's move." The cold was the first thing I noticed when we entered the operating area. It seeped into my skin, into my bones. My arms were down at my sides one moment, and then suddenly they were over my head. I hadn't felt them move. One of the doctors must have seen the confusion in my face because he said, "You didn't feel that?" I told him no. He gave me a quick glance and said, "When we shocked you, your whole body almost came off the table." I let that sink in. It's a strange thing to hear about your own body, something so physical, so violent when you didn't even feel it happen. I looked at him and asked quietly, "Am I going to die today?" He paused just long enough to meet my eyes and said firmly, "No, I'm not going to let you." They worked fast. The room was a blur of movement, gloves snapping, metal instruments clinking, and monitors beeping in uneven rhythms. Before long, the immediate danger had passed. A cardiologist came in to talk to me. He looked almost puzzled. "You just had a massive heart attack," he said slowly, as if weighing each word. "Your heart is angry right now. You should be on a ventilator, sedated, recovering. But here you are, sitting up, talking to me like nothing happened. That's not supposed to be possible." They moved me into the ICU. A nurse came in with paperwork, reading it aloud as she filled in the forms. Midway through, she stopped, eyes widening. "Oh my God," she said. "You had a widowmaker heart attack." She looked at me as if seeing a ghost. "You had a 10% chance of surviving that, even here in the hospital. Out there in the field, you weren't supposed to make it." Her words sat heavy in the air. 10%. The plan was to fit me with a special wearable defibrillator vest. It would monitor my heart and shock me if my rhythm went dangerous again. At the time, my heart was only pumping out 30 to 35% of the blood it should. Normal is 55% or higher. The vest was my safety net. For 3 months, I wore it everywhere. It was a constant reminder of how close I'd come to leaving this world. When I went back for my checkup, they ran all the same tests. I left thinking I'd be told to keep wearing the vest, but later that day, my phone rang. It was my doctor. "John," he said, his voice carrying an edge of amazement, "you can take the vest off." He went on to explain that they'd been studying this type of heart attack since the 1970s. In all those decades, they'd only seen one other case heal completely. "Your heart is back to normal," he said. "The only thing left is a little scarring from the shocks. You are a miracle." And I knew it was true. But the hardest part wasn't the physical recovery. It was coming back here after where I'd been. I fell into a deep depression. Not because I was afraid, but because I'd tasted something far greater than this life. I'd been somewhere where love was everything, where there was no pain, no division, no fear. And now, I was back in a world full of all those things. People couldn't understand why I kept saying I wanted to go back. They hadn't felt what I had felt. They hadn't stood in the circle of flowers. They hadn't looked down on a planet that pulsed with life. For months, I searched for people like me, people who had died and come back. I read everything I could find. Slowly, I began connecting with others whose experiences matched mine. Over and over, I heard the same thing. Everything is about love. That became my truth. Coming back changed how I see everything. I grew up in a strict church that preached fire and brimstone. We were told that if we didn't live exactly by the book, we'd never see heaven. But I died 3 times, and not once did I see hell. I wasn't judged by a list of rules. I was met with love, complete, unconditional love. Now I can't look at someone and see their religion, their politics, or their race as the first thing. I see souls, that's all. And once you see someone as a soul, it changes everything. I try to help people when I can, without expecting anything in return. Material things don't matter to me anymore. You can't take them with you. The things we spend our lives worrying about, they mean nothing in the face of eternity. I don't fear death anymore. I tell my family when my time comes, don't cry for me, don't pray for me to be brought back, let me go home. Until then, I'll keep doing what I was sent back to do. Share what I've seen and remind people that we are all part of the same circle and that love, pure unconditional love, is the foundation of everything. We're here to help each other. That's all God really asks of us. And if we can do that, even in small ways, we're already living the truth of the place I saw. What do you think this experience means? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, give it a like and subscribe. And remember, every soul has a story worth telling.